Welcome to the IGF Code Basic Training. I am your instructor, and today we begin a critical journey into the future of maritime operations. As the industry shifts towards low-flashpoint fuels like LNG, understanding the unique hazards and operational protocols is no longer optional. This course is strictly aligned with STCW Regulation VI 3, ensuring you meet the mandatory minimum requirements for service on ships subject to the IGF code. Our core objectives are clear: ensuring absolute safety, preventing environmental pollution, and mastering the daily operations of gas-fueled vessels. To ensure the safe adoption of alternative fuels, the International Maritime Organization, or IMO, established the IGF Code. This comprehensive framework was officially adopted and made mandatory under the SOLAS Convention, the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea. The code entered into force to provide an international standard for ships using gases or other low-flashpoint fuels. Compliance is strictly mandatory for all new vessels and conversions utilizing these fuels, ensuring uniform safety across the global fleet. The most common low-flashpoint fuel under the IGF code is liquefied natural gas, or LNG, primarily composed of methane. Unlike traditional marine fuels, LNG is stored in a cryogenic state. It must be cooled to -162 degrees Celsius to remain a liquid. If LNG warms and vaporizes, it undergoes a massive phase change, expanding to 600 times its original liquid volume, creating severe overpressure risks. Furthermore, its flashpoint is extremely low compared to heavy fuel oil. Vapor can ignite at ambient engine room temperatures if a leak occurs. While LNG and other low-flashpoint fuels offer environmental benefits, they introduce severe operational hazards. In its natural state, gas is both invisible and odorless. The primary risk is flammability. For a fire to occur, the fire triangle must be complete: fuel, oxygen, and an ignition source. However, gas only ignites within a specific concentration. For methane, this is between its lower flammable limit of 5% and upper flammable limit of 15%. Beyond fire, leaks pose extreme cryogenic hazards. At -162 degrees Celsius, liquid gas causes instant frostbite and severe cold embrittlement in standard ship steel. Finally, as the expanding vapor cloud displaces oxygen in enclosed spaces, it creates a deadly, unseen risk of asphyxiation. To safely operate a gas-fueled vessel under the IGF code, we must first understand its unique architectural layout. The fundamental principle of IGF ship design is the strict separation between gas-safe and gas-dangerous spaces. Hazardous zones, such as the LNG fuel tanks and bunkering stations, are physically isolated from standard machinery spaces. When gas must pass through safe areas, we employ the double-wall piping concept. This consists of an inner pipe carrying the fuel, surrounded by an outer ventilated pipe, ensuring any potential leak is safely contained. Under the IGF code, LNG fuel containment systems are classified into three main categories: Type A, Type B, and Type C tanks, each with distinct structural characteristics. Type A and B tanks operate at near atmospheric pressure. Because a leak of -162 degrees Celsius LNG would fracture standard steel, they require dedicated secondary barriers. This secondary barrier acts as a crucial failsafe, containing cryogenic liquid and protecting the vessel's structural integrity if the primary barrier fails. However, for most small to medium gas-fueled vessels, Type C tanks are the preferred choice. These robust pressure vessels do not require a secondary barrier. Instead, Type C tanks rely on precise pressure relief valves and robust insulation to manage boil-off gas safely. Once the LNG leaves the storage tank, it begins its journey to the engine through a dedicated, double-walled fuel supply system. The cryogenic liquid, stored at -162 degrees Celsius, is first pumped into the main vaporizer. Here, it undergoes a critical phase change, absorbing heat to become a combustible gas and expanding to 600 times its liquid volume. Next, the heated gas passes through the gas valve unit, or GVU, which precisely regulates the supply pressure for the engine. The GVU houses the master gas fuel valve, a critical safety barrier that automatically isolates the gas supply in the event of an alarm. Finally, the conditioned gas is safely injected into the engine cylinders for combustion. Bunkering LNG is one of the most critical operations under the IGF code, requiring absolute synchronization between ship and shore. Before any transfer begins, a designated person in charge, or PIC, establishes the ship-shore link, a vital communication and safety umbilical. This SSL actively synchronizes the emergency shutdown systems of both the vessel and the bunkering facility. At the manifold, the emergency release coupling, or ERC, is connected, but liquid transfer doesn't start immediately. First, the lines must undergo rigorous inerting with nitrogen to purge all oxygen and moisture, preventing explosive mixtures and ice formation. Throughout the operation, strict hazardous zones are enforced. No smoking and no spark regulations are absolute, ensuring a safe transfer environment. In any gas-fueled vessel, early detection of leaks is the primary line of defense. The IGF code mandates highly redundant gas detection systems throughout all hazardous areas. These dual independent sensors continuously monitor the atmosphere for methane vapors, providing real-time data to the central alarm panel. When gas concentration reaches 20% of the lower flammable limit, or LFL, a visual and audible warning alarm is triggered in the engine control room. If the concentration continues to rise and hits the critical 40% LFL threshold, the system automatically initiates an emergency shutdown to isolate the fuel supply. In gas-fueled vessels, proper ventilation is a critical defense mechanism. Hazardous spaces are maintained under negative pressure to prevent gas from escaping. Conversely, safe spaces like the control room are kept under positive pressure. The IGF code mandates a strict minimum of 30 air changes per hour in highly hazardous zones. Before any maintenance can be performed on the fuel supply system, the lines must be completely cleared of volatile gases. This is achieved through purging. Inert gas, typically nitrogen, is flushed through the system to eliminate all explosion risks. In the event of a critical failure on a gas-fueled vessel, the emergency shutdown, or ESD system, is your ultimate safeguard. The ESD logic is designed to automatically isolate the fuel source and shut down associated machinery within a strict 30-second window. This sequence can be triggered manually via ESD push buttons located at strategic stations, such as the bridge or bunkering manifold, or automatically by the vessel's safety system upon detecting fire, abnormal gas concentrations, or extreme pressure changes. Once activated, the master gas fuel valves slam shut, instantly cutting off the LNG supply to the engine room. When handling cryogenic fuels like LNG at -162 degrees Celsius, standard shipboard PPE is completely inadequate. Standard leather gloves, for instance, will absorb liquid and instantly freeze to your skin. The IGF code mandates specialized cryogenic protection. A full set includes a full-face shield, a cryogenic apron, and heavily insulated, non-absorbent gloves. Crucially, the structural design must feature absolutely no pockets, and trousers must always be worn outside the boots. This specific arrangement ensures that any spilled cryogenic liquid is deflected straight to the deck, preventing it from becoming trapped against the body. When responding to a gas fire on an IGF code vessel, the strategy differs fundamentally from traditional oil fires. The absolute primary objective is to isolate the fuel source. You must stop the gas flow before attempting to extinguish the flame. Critical warning: if you extinguish the fire while the gas is still leaking, the unignited gas will accumulate rapidly. This creates a massive vapor cloud that can find a new ignition source, leading to a catastrophic vapor cloud explosion. Let the gas burn while you isolate the leak. Use water sprays to create a protective curtain and cool surrounding bulkheads. Only after the fuel is isolated should you use dry chemical powder to knock down any remaining localized flames. The IGF code is not a static document. It is continuously evolving to address the rapid advancements in maritime fuel technology. Recent amendments, driven by IMO's Maritime Safety Committee and updated MSC circulars, have introduced critical changes for 2024 and beyond. Crucially, the regulatory scope is expanding far beyond traditional LNG to include a new generation of low-flashpoint alternative fuels. New interim guidelines now cover the safe use of methanol, ammonia, and hydrogen, each presenting entirely unique toxicity and flammability profiles. Staying compliant means mastering these updates and seamlessly integrating them into your shipboard safety management systems. Congratulations on completing the IGF Code Basic Training. You now understand the fundamental safety culture required for operating gas-fueled vessels. We've covered the unique cryogenic hazards of LNG, specialized fuel containment systems, and critical emergency shutdown procedures. To achieve your full certificate of proficiency under STCW regulations, this theoretical foundation must be paired with practical experience. Your next steps include accumulating approved seagoing service on IGF vessels and participating in live bunkering operations. Stay safe and stay compliant.